Hey, you're very welcome back. Time for us to turn our attention to the Champions League. It is the second leg of Real Madrid and Paris Saint-Germain. I'm delighted to say Graham Hunter is with us. Graham, good morning to you.
Hi, lads.
These football matches that we've been seeing over the last couple of years with these super teams is as good as football has ever been. I mean, I know I'm a prisoner of the moment, but am I right in saying that? It feels that way.
I think that you can begin to construct a pound for pound argument on what you've said. So, for example, the two ties where Paris Saint-Germain eliminated Bayern Munich the other season were sensational. I think it depends how far back you want to go because, for example, we've got tonight Leo Messi back here in the Champions League anthem in the Bernabeu for the first time since 2011. Those two semi-finals, I'm not sure if Barcelona and Real Madrid constitute the super clubs that you're talking about. Maybe you're beginning to talk about, the way in which City and Chelsea and Paris Saint-Germain have been constructed. I don't know. You pay your money, you take your pick. But those two semi-finals were absolutely extraordinary. And in terms of the Paris Saint-Germain-Manchester City tie, Paris Saint-Germain, I'm certain that'll be last season on the route to City turning up in the final and losing to Chelsea. I don't think we saw the absolute best of Paris Saint-Germain, and that's one of the things that I think we'll see tonight. Paris Saint-Germain embarrassed themselves for the second time this season against Nice at the weekend, but if you look at the side, some key players have been given a rest for today. Donnarumma's back in goals. You have to be careful how you flavour, a broth like this by saying it's all about the subplots. So Neymar and Messi against Real Madrid, Messi back at the Bernabeu, Mbappé playing against the club that still remain favourites to sign. All these things add to the story once the actors really claim the stage, and you can preview it. But on the night, it's going to be about speed of thought and how well, in microseconds, the slower team, which is Real Madrid, physically the slower team, and probably in terms of speed of thought, still the slightly slower team, how well they make microsecond decisions. And this is the possibility of being an epic tie in the genre, in the bracket that you talked about. And I go there tonight, pretty sure that Madrid are second favourites, not just in the tie, but on the night. Also pretty sure that it's Madrid, it's the Bernabeu. They can do it.
What's interesting, like in this whole kind of element of Mbappé and his potential relationship, his potential future relationship with Real Madrid, is the slight twist, certainly to my eyes, earlier this week when David Ornstein reported that Real Madrid also wants Erling Haaland on top of Kylian Mbappé. Obviously, you'd have your Tebas coming out a couple of weeks ago saying it'd be great to have one in Barcelona, one in Real Madrid, and Real Madrid said it maybe, or they don't say, but it's been suggested that maybe they'll wait till Benzema is gone before bringing Haaland in. So does that actually make this a far from credible situation that'll actually transpire in reality?
No, I mean, listen, I don't know what language I can use in your breakfast show there, Owen, but, bollocks to David Ornstein. We've talked about that on this show weeks and weeks and weeks ago, simply because it's an absolute stated, clear wish of Florentino Perez to sign them both. That's not a new piece of reporting. It's not a new idea. This is a man who grew up with Puskás and Di Stefano and Gento up front, watching that team, being beguiled by that team. This is a man who came to power in 2000 with the Figo deal, going the Galactico era. The Galactico idea is back, signed so many Galacticos that he ran out of Galacticos and signed Michael Owen instead, which didn't work. That wasn't quite as acidic as it sounded, but he did literally ran out of Galacticos. Now there's a really clear situation, which is either Haaland and Mbappé, who will both move, I think. Paris Saint-Germain are doing the most extraordinary, how would you call it, financial gymnastics to try and find a way to keep Mbappé. But I find it hard to believe that League One is going to satisfy him. I find it hard to believe that if the whole world queuing up for these two players, Mbappe chooses to stay at Paris Saint-Germain. I don't see that. Haaland is clearly set on leaving Dortmund. And therefore, there are two scenarios. One, some lucky team puts the two of them together at centre forward and at left-sided attack coming in, and everybody else, in theory, if there's a good team behind them, should just sort of settle for second place, I think, over the coming years. Or Florentino Perez fails in that idea, because I don't think there's anybody else who has the idea to unite the two of them, or the resources to unite the two of them. Chelsea clearly spectacularly dropped out of any race recently. And if there are two different clubs, then what you've got in both in marketing terms is a new Cristiano Leo Messi. Look at the two greats, but also the two guys are so different in attitude, in playing style. And, what I get the impression is that Haaland is dithering over the idea of, do I want to oppose Mbappe? Do I want to be part of an idea whereby the money at the two clubs that he gets, I get, is pretty similar? I get super wealthy. The resources behind us, it's in any one of 3 or 4 different clubs. There's only 4 clubs in the race, I think, in ascending order: Bayern Munich, Barcelona, and then at the top of the tree, Real Madrid and Manchester City. The playing resources are going to be even-ish until you come to Barcelona, where you have to take a leap of faith because it's not even at the moment. And therefore, there is a scenario whereby Haaland and Mbappe are playing for Real Madrid next season. But there is also, and I think it's important to say, that the tom-tom drums coming out of Mbappe's fairly large entourage, an entourage that Pochettino was a little bit withering about yesterday in his press conference, and saying something I think is important, separating Mbappe, who's extremely bright, extremely achievement-oriented, not just money-oriented, extremely articulate, multilingual, separating out the entourage around him, which has gained quite a lot of ignominy over the last 18, 20 months. I think that one of the things that we're assured of now is that the debacle in Paris, the absolutely stinking way in which Real Madrid played, didn't impress Mbappe. And those, Leonardo and also the owner at Paris Saint-Germain, who are trying to keep him, trying to retain him, trying to make him renew, said, is that what you want? Do you want to be playing at that, pace? Look how, low they played in the pitch. It's all speculative counter-attacks, and they couldn't pass to one another. All of those criticisms of Real Madrid were completely legitimate. I can't remember if I've spoken to you two since that game, but Madrid were atrocious.
Yeah.
And they betrayed themselves.
So they will be expected to fight back tonight and put something different in. Is the manager going to change and ask them to go out and try and attack?
The things have changed in Ancelotti, which is one of his many bountiful pluses as far as not just if you're a reporter, but if you play for him. He tells things as they are. He enjoys his work. He still treats it as a multimillionaire pastime rather than state secrets or NASA. And he was really frank after that game. He said, I got the tactics wrong. We applied the tactics I chose badly. We let ourselves down. Real Madrid can't play like that. He didn't talk about the result, which was, a very late Mbappe winner. They were going to get away for, burglary of the century. And since then, he's talked a lot about Pintus, his Italian fitness conditioner, having taken under his instructions, a really risky decision, which is to spend 2 weeks putting in really hard physical work, a top-up, which in mid-season can go badly wrong. You can suddenly get dozens of little muscle fatigue injuries if you do a mini boot camp in mid-season. But they have. Ancelotti has said significantly after the Paris match, we're going to play forward again. We're going to press. We're higher at the pitch. We're going to advance the back line. We're going to go back to what we were doing at the beginning of the season. we'd lost our way a little bit. So the answer to your question is yes, but Paris Saint-Germain know this because he's been absolutely crystal clear about both aspects, where they play on the pitch and the degree of energy that they have to put into their pressing.
The other major subplot at the moment is about who the next Man United manager is going to be and whether or not Pochettino's in the frame for that, whether or not he wants it, whether or not they want him, all that kind of stuff that's going on. I'm very interested in your take on this, right? Because there's been a bubbling under. Anytime Paris Saint-Germain don't win games 4-0, I read these kind of crisis at Paris Saint-Germain, and then I check the table and I'm like, maybe I've got the wrong table here. Maybe there's like an alternative reality where the Ligue 1 table actually has them, neck and neck with Nice, or a couple of points behind. But like, the league is over, and it's been over for months. So those results don't actually matter a huge amount when it comes to assessing whether or not Pochettino is a very good manager. But there's definitely a campaign from I don't know what's driving the campaign to go, Pochettino's not good enough for the Man United job. He's not qualified for the Man United job. He's failing in Paris. And I don't really see the evidence for that.
Jerry, there's a complicated Molotov cocktail you've thrown at me there, because number one, and this is again the reason that for 20 years now I've enjoyed coming on and talking to you, is that there are so many idiots out there, so many spoofers, so many media that couldn't tell their backside from their elbow, and so many media that are now including, the climate outside, by which they mean social media, says, so that there's a lot of horse, written, spoken. One thing that I think I'm arguing can be differentiated from that is that around Paris Saint-Germain, particularly from the owner, but also the media that report on them, there's an expectation that they can be like Bayern at their best, and they're not. So Bayern at their best rip domestic teams. I'm talking over my lifetime, reach points where they're utterly nationally dominant, which Paris Saint-Germain aren't. They weren't even champions last season. The gap at the top is good, but knocked out of the cup in a pretty paltry 8-stone weakling way. They lost to Nice again at the weekend, which they shouldn't be doing. And the dissatisfaction that I think you're detecting that does not reflect on this Poch, a good coach or not a good coach, is about, we want to be behemoths. We want to be the Bismarck. We want to smash rivals, and they aren't. You're right, I think, to differentiate. It's a slightly dysfunctional club. I think Pochettino had no voice in how the team was assembled last summer. And I told you that I interviewed him as the Messi deal was going through. I was talking to him. He was enthusiastic about it. He was bewildered about how he was going to manage to get all the unit parts of the force to blend together, to self-sacrifice. He was unsure about whether the front three would do any of the work that he likes a front three to do, other than be brilliant and score goals when they're all fit. So he has it sounds counterintuitive, but when you're given charge of a club like that and you're not given charge of the recruitment and you're dumped a Harlem Globetrotters side, then whether you're a good coach or not, and he is, occasionally the side will play like the Harlem Globetrotters, and they might entertain or they might not have the day. And occasionally the bell will ring and you'll be like, oh, look at that. And that might be tonight.
Is it better for, say there's a group of Manchester United who do want Pochettino, is it better for them if he loses and goes out early, or if he actually wins the tournament and thinks he can ride off into the sunset?
I think either way, he has an argument about going to his employers and saying, I want to leave. You win the trophy, and you probably get a walking pass if you request it. You go out having had the chance to put a cricket score at Parc des Princes. You're out of the cup, and the league's a procession from now to May. Then I think he's gone. But I think we can be crystal clear about the fact that as it stands right now, Pochettino doesn't want to be Paris Saint-Germain coach next season. The conditions aren't right. He's not particularly enjoying himself. Now, that doesn't mean that if he's got an analytic, and I am not telling you that I know what he thinks about Manchester United. I'm not saying that. But if he has an analytical eye, there are similarities about the way that Manchester United is run on a day-to-day basis that might make you think, fire, frying pan. So I don't know if he gets that. And to be honest with you, there's another scenario, which is if Paris Saint-Germain cut loose tonight and really put this tie away, if they do, which they did at Camp Nou last season, and won by 3, then I think Ancelotti, having been booked by Florentino Perez 3 weeks ago, we'll see a second yellow and won't be there, and Pochettino will take over this summer. And
Right.
for my analytical eye,
Okay.
the best scenario for Pochettino is to be Madrid coach from this summer.
It is definitely a better job than the Manchester United job at the moment, and it's not even close.
That's right, because the squad is very good. It's been reasonably well constructed. The stadium is just about finished. It's paid for. You're working in an environment where, in terms of team completion, particularly if Mbappé is added, there's not masses of work to be done. It's a country whereby he functions probably much more easily than working in French. It's a club that he aspires to work at. It's a club that tried to get him when he renewed his contract at Spurs. And Zidane walked out after the Liverpool Champions League final. And Pochettino was told directly by Jose Angel Sanchez, the vice president, if you had a get-out clause at Spurs, if you built that into your contract, you would be, this summer, you'd already be Madrid manager. So there's a feeling of a circle being complete. There would be a feeling of, because none of this is outright fact. But if you want to game it, if you want to hypothesize, knowing what Florentino Perez is like, Ancelotti has his, not quite his back against the ropes, but another display like Parc des Princes, and he won't be the coach next season. And Pochettino feels, to my mind, to be an old desire, which football often tries to fulfill. Often, there's a big pattern of that. And secondly, probably the right guy.
That is really interesting, because it certainly adds another layer of subtext to everything that's happening tonight. It sounds like you think they probably will open up tonight, that they are the class of this field this evening, and that Paris Saint-Germain are going to go through.
I think they should have won by 3 or 4 in the first leg. It's a slightly different Madrid, but there's no Mondi. That's crucial. Mondi at left back, in terms of physical power, aerial power, the way in which he links with Vinicius down the left touchline, his speed, his ability to combat the speed that we're likely to see from Mbappé, Neymar, Messi. Speed of decision making in Messi's case rather than speed of sprint. No Casemiro. Casemiro hasn't had a vintage couple of months, but he was brilliant the last time they played, sort of like 5-6 brutal games in 18 days, and they won them all. He's out, suspended. His street smarts, his height, power, just experience that both of them are missing, and that Kroos is a fitness test today, and also one of your slower footballers, brilliant on the ball. But if he's run past, if he's jostled and bullied, Dutch referee, if you forgive my little joke, is going to occupy the McKelly position, and he's permissive. He allows teams to play Northern European football. That doesn't suit Real Madrid at all. It's the case that I'm just going to say it. There are certain clubs and certain grounds where ridiculous things happen. This is Madrid. They think the trophy belongs to them. It's the Bernabeu. They're going to be, if they don't concede early, the roar, the noise will give wings to the players. But if you sat down and looked at this match in an actuarial way, Paris Saint-Germain win tonight and go through. The beauty of football, and the reason we spend so much time talking about it is, well, who knows?
That's why we play the games. Graham, great stuff. Thanks a million. Enjoy it.
Lads.
Graham Hunter there giving us some thoughts about many different aspects of tonight's game. We hope that has suitably whet your appetite.